All right. So there's a couple things that I want to leave you with to think about over the holiday weekend. And so this message is for real estate agents, regardless of company, regardless of what market you're in. None of that's important at this time. What's important at this time is that you really think about these four things that I'm going to walk you through now. And it's what I call the great dilemma that real estate agents must face if they're going to succeed in this industry. Number one, and probably the hardest one, is that most people getting into the real estate business or are in the real estate business do not come from a direct sales business background. Yet, that's exactly what they're getting into when they become a real estate agent. Real estate, and I don't care what anybody else tells you, real estate is a direct outbound sales business. Anybody that tells you anything different is just lying, or they don't have the courage to tell you the truth because they're scared that if you know the truth, that you won't get into the business, that you'll leave their team, that you'll leave their company. Because if you know that, then the next things are going to be even more difficult for you to face. So that's the first thing, is understanding that this is a direct outbound sales business, which then lead us into dilemma number two, which is what I wrote down: learning and developing your mindset around what it means to be a successful salesperson. Okay, so once you've faced dilemma number one, and your understanding of, now that I'm in a direct outbound sales business, I've got to start to develop and learn how to build a mindset around what it means now to be a salesperson. Because let's face it, here's what's happening. The real estate industry, the 1.5, 1.6 million real estate licensees right now, as we sit in halfway through 2021, there's over 50% of all licensees have not yet sold one house. Okay. Most of them come from backgrounds, and there's nothing wrong with this as long as you can face these dilemmas. But we already talked about most of them not coming from a direct sales background. Most of them are teachers. Most of them were stay-at-home parents. Most of them, got into real estate because they were maybe laid off from their job, or they were furloughed during the pandemic, or they watched a show on HGTV and said, "Oh, I love houses. I'm going to get into real estate." Well, we have to now build and develop a mindset, because you don't come from a direct sales background. Dilemma number two now is strengthening the mindset and accepting the fact that you're a salesperson and understanding what that means. There doesn't have to be a negative connotation to it, like society has built around being in sales for the past 100 years. It doesn't have to be that way. We're going to serve our clients, and we're not going to use high pressure. We're not going to do any of that stuff. But the second dilemma you must face is, how do I learn and how do I develop a mindset around being a salesperson? Dilemma number three is accepting the activities, listen closely, accepting the activities that must be done to be successful in this business. Accepting the activity. So what am I talking about? Let me give you an example. If you were to go get a job as a pharmaceutical sales rep and you signed up for a sales position, that company is going to pay you as a direct result to the activities that you do. Okay, so you're going to be held accountable to meeting with a certain number of offices and visits with doctors and hospitals, and you're going to be held accountable to that sales activity. And then based on the revenue that you generate from the sales you make is how you're then going to be compensated. Not brain surgery here. Pretty simple concept. Well, dilemma number three is, accepting the fact that now that you're a salesperson, there are certain activities that must be done daily in order for you to win in this business, which then brings me to my fourth dilemma, my final point for this morning, as you get into the 4th of July weekend for you to think about all weekend. So when you come back, you can start fresh, you can start with the right mindset, which is actually doing the income sales activities that lead to the income you're going to make as a real estate agent. So there are six revenue generating activities that you must focus on daily, weekly, monthly, annually in order for you to have a chance to win in this business. Income generating activity number one, and it is the most important and it is the foundation of your sales business in real estate, which is building, listen closely, building and communicating with your sphere of influence past client database. Brandon, I don't want to talk to the people that I know. I don't want to come off as a needy real estate agent, calling my friends for business. I don't want you to do that either. I teach you a top 100 communication plan on how to go out there and build strong relationships, provide value to the people in your community, to the people in your database. But listen, and never forget this. Your database is the only asset we have in real estate. That's it, is the database. And your job, if you're ever going to succeed in this business long term, you are going to have to build a database and you're going to have to communicate with that database. Otherwise, you are going to be chasing strangers for the rest of your career. Now, all of you complain to me, well, Brandon, I don't want to talk to strangers either. And I say, hold on, time out. You don't want to talk to the people you know, and you don't want to talk to strangers? You got no chance of succeeding in this industry, period. So lead generation activity, income producing activity number one is to build a strong database. And then we got to communicate with that database on a consistent basis. That's another training. That's number one. Number two, this is probably the hardest one for most people, is prospect daily for new business. Now, I know most of you are going to shut this off immediately because I'm asking you to look for new business. That is the industry you are in. If you're not spending 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours a day looking for new business, you're probably watching this right now and saying, that's the reason I am not on pace for the goals that I've set. That's the reason why I don't have the income I want. That's the reason why I don't have listings right now. That's the reason why I'm not going to close anything in July. That's the reason why I teeter-totter on quitting real estate, because you do not put a focus and your number one focus daily in searching for new business. So searching for new business, what do I mean? Well, certainly that's making outbound phone calls. Certainly that's knocking doors, sending direct messages on social media, networking with other professionals, meeting with other professionals. Anything that you can do to generate new leads and new opportunity from people that want to buy and sell real estate. That is your job. So we've got to spend time daily prospecting for new business. Income generating activity number three, lead follow-up. Okay, 80% of the appointments you get with buyers and sellers are going to come from your lead follow-up activities. So number one, we prospect daily. We generate new activity. We generate new leads. And then we have to then follow up with those leads. Okay. It's very unlikely that you're going to call somebody today, go meet them at their house today, get them to write an offer on a house today, and get them to sign a listing contract today. Okay. Very unlikely that's going to happen. So therefore, as you're prospecting daily, generating new opportunities and new leads daily, we've got to then put them into a lead follow-up system that you follow on a regular basis. Income generating activity number four is now then meeting with prospects. So now we're prospecting for new business. We're following up with those prospects. Now we've got to meet with those prospects, right? These are all sales activities that you have to accept that you must do daily if you're going to succeed in this industry. Sales activity number 5, tracking your sales activities and your conversion ratios. Okay, I get it. You don't come from a sales background, so this part's a little off for you. When I look at most real estate agents, they don't track their numbers, right? They have no idea where their business comes from, how they get their business, what's their conversion or their batting average at a listing appointment. They have no idea. So what we have to look at is if you break down the last 3 activities I just outlined, which is prospect daily, lead follow-up, and meeting with prospects, what is the conversion ratio between those 3 things? As an example, how many people do you need to talk to on a daily basis in order to generate a lead? How many leads do you need to generate in order to generate an appointment? And then how many appointments must you generate to get a signed contract? Well, wouldn't it only make sense that if you knew your conversion ratios based on those activities, that now you can get clear in building a business plan, which is income generating activity number 6. You can now build a business plan based on your actual conversion ratios to say, okay, I want to make $250,000 this year. Okay, great. Well, what does that mean? What do you actually have to do? Because writing $250,000 on a piece of paper, that's real exciting. What do you have to do to make that happen? Well, we have to know our ratios. We have to track our numbers. So let me recap the 6 income revenue generating activities that you must do daily, weekly, annually to succeed in this sales business of real estate. Number 1, we've got to build a database. It's got to be the foundation of every single thing that we do. We've got to add people to that database, and we've got to then communicate with the people in the database. If they're just sitting in the CRM and you don't do anything, you are not going to get business from your sphere of influence. You are not going to get referrals. Number 2, you have to prospect every single day looking for new business if you're going to have a chance to make it in real estate. Number 3 is you have to then follow up with the leads that you are generating, okay? I always tell everybody, if you have no lead follow-up system, you might as well not even prospect, because 80+% of all your appointments, all of the income that you generate is going to come through your lead follow-up activities. Number 4, you got to be meeting with people, okay? When I coach an agent, I want them meeting 5 people a week, 5 face-to-face appointments a week with buyers and sellers. That's 20 people a month. This is the level of activity that you need to put yourself in to have a chance to earn the income that you want. Number 5 is tracking your sales activities and your conversion ratios daily. So grab a simple sales tracker. Write down, how many people did I talk to today? How many leads did I generate? How many appointments did I set? How many appointments did I go on? How many listings did I get? And how many closings did I get? And how much money did I earn? If you track those things over the course of time, you'll start to develop an average conversion ratio. Then those will start to tell you the story of where you need to spend time on your business to then get better. And then number 6 is operating from a clear, written business plan. A clear, written business plan. You have to have a plan in order to execute. It's got to be clear. It's got to be written down. Otherwise, it's not real. These are the dilemmas that you must be willing to accept, that you must be willing to face on a daily basis to put yourself in a position to, what I believe, earn the income that you want to earn in this industry when you decided to get your real estate license. Because the reality is this, and I'll leave you with this before we get into the 4th of July weekend. The reality is the vast majority of people in real estate are not happy with the results that they're getting, and the industry is not what they thought it was going to be. That's the truth because of these 4 dilemmas that I just outlined for you today. So as you spend time with your friends and your family, maybe alone in hopefully some time to reflect, think about these things. Are you willing to accept these things? Are you willing to commit to these things in order to get what you want for yourself and for your family? There's some tough questions. You got to face the man, you got to face the woman in the mirror. Are you willing to do that?